Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and it's time for ranking every commander.
This time we're doing the multicolored legends from Baldur's Gate.
I'm your host, Stretch Harris.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We're bringing you daily commander content, so if you want to support said content, you could be like our patron of the day, Timmy, and give us money directly.
Yes, Timmy is giving us money directly via patreon.com. That's how you support this channel the best way, the most direct way, and we will be like, hey, we love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. But if you want to support us but don't want to be loved that way, you can use tcgplayer.com, affiliate link in the description below. You start with the link, buy any character you were going to buy anyway, any product, any whatever through the website. As long as you started with our link, we will get a kickback.
No extra money for you, and then bonus stuff for the channel that you like watching. You can also do that with dragonshield.com. There's an EU or a US link, so go buy some sleeves. Actually, the best sleeves in the multiverse, I'd say.
Good sleeves.
And when you do that, we also get a kickback. So those are two indirect ways to support us. We're actually supported by someone who has nothing to do with you. It's Moxfield.com. It's the best deck building site ever. And we got an ad that you won't see coming. So just don't try to guess where it is because you just won't know.
Well, you should be using Moxfield.com to build all your decks. I mean, it should be involved with you. And if it's not, that's problematic. And happy birthday to every single human whose birthday is today.
And bonus announcement, we're going to be at Command Fest Philly. We were already at Richmond. It was amazing. We met a bunch of people and took a bunch of pictures, signed a bunch of stuff. So if you want to meet us, I guess, just go to Command Fest Philly because we're going to be there for the entire weekend.
We're special guests, actually. We're going to be guests. We're going to be doing a Q&A. We're going to be doing lots of fun stuff.
There's other stuff. We're not just playing. We're like doing Q&As and like special events. So come meet us there.
Yes, we will be playing all weekend. So literally, just come find us and come play with us. It'll be a blast.
All right, finally, we can get into ranking every commander. We're ranking every single commander that's ever existed. We've already done everything except for these commanders. So we're going to put them into our master list, go from worst to best. And we're talking about power, fun, artwork, coolness, and uniqueness. The 5 things that kind of sort of add up to what actually makes a commander all around great. This isn't just a power list.
Yes.
Go somewhere else for that.
Exactly. This is not a power list. This is talking about a bunch of stuff. So we're going to hop right into this list because we have a lot of commanders.
37.
Yes, this is all the multicolored commanders or ones without background, however you want to view it. First one, and the worst one, is Thracus the Butcher. Above Arnie, Broken Bow, and below Ghost Council of Orzhova. 3 green-red for a 3/4 with trample. Important to note that he is a dragon because whenever he attacks, double the power of all dragons. All right, so that's not very good. I mean, we're just kind of doubling power. It's very vanilla-esque, where it is giving you more power, and at least it has trample, but that's all we're really getting. And this is 5 mana. It doesn't have haste. It's very, very slow, but it does something, so it got a 2 for power.
Yeah, I think the fun's there. You know, you can get to really big numbers with dragons and power matters. So there's like a high ceiling, but on average, I don't think Thracus is going to do that much. He didn't really have any lore either that we could find. D&D characters, as we mentioned last time, most of them probably have lore. We've found, 90% of the ones on this list, we've found some lore for. The ones we can't, if you have a source, just link it in the comments and we'll go change the grade.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention about coolness, it's not just lore. It's a card can be cool in many, many ways. Lore is the easiest way to get coolness points because it's like, hey, this is a character that did X, it makes them cool.
It's everything that isn't text on the card, basically.
Yeah, it's like, a card could be cool just from random stuff. It's like random old cards like Axel Gunnerrod got a ton of points for
Axelrod Gunnarsson?
Axelrod Gunnarsson. I mean, that's a cool name. That's how
Axel Gunnerrod.
Axel Gunnerrod.
All right, we got to move on.
We do.
Corelessa, Scale Singer, ranking in overall at 993, above Kiku and below Unesh. Green-blue for a 1/4. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may cast dragon spells from the top of your library. They just keep putting this ability on like every commander, and I don't know why, but this is the dragon version, except you're not in red, so you really don't have access to like any of the best dragons. And you can't really go infinite with it, so the power is low.
It is an extremely low power level. But it is fun. It's going to be green-blue dragons. But where it lacks in fun is the fact that this won't be a powerful deck. You can't really build it up too strong because you don't have enough dragons, sadly.
And they're all expensive. You can't like chain 3 dragons off this.
Yeah, and sadly, again, we're just ending up in this spot where there's no lore. So we don't have anything to talk about here. I mean,
just move on.
Playing off the top of decks is just not unique anymore, right? We're just seeing it all the time. Next is Dynahair. Invoker Adept, above Myojin of Roaring Blades and below Kelith. 1 blue, red, white for a 4/4. It has haste. You may activate abilities of other creatures you control as though they had haste. Tap. When you next activate an ability that isn't a mana ability this turn by spending 4 or more mana to activate it, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. I mean, I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with this card at all. You're supposed to copy abilities that cost at least 4 mana?
But she's 4 mana and has haste, and then when are you lining this up? It just feels like it's never going to work. And the fun is going to suffer for that because if it never works, how much fun can you possibly have?
Yeah, I don't know. I might want to look at a deck like of this on EDH, but it feels so weak. Like, what are you... Like, I just want to know what you're doing. I'm sure there are some cool things to do. Obviously, with every commander is unique like this, we're going to have some cool things to do, but I'm not sure what they are or if they're even good.
Yeah, the only lore for her, she was like this confident, self-assured kind of mage. She's part of Abdel Adrian's crew. We talked about him in the last video. And then also she died in a dungeon, and nobody knows how, or at least the website doesn't know how.
No eye tadpole?
No eye tadpole. She's not part of that.
Yeah. Actually, just to throw this out there, the reason we're not going over art too often, most of the art is very good for the set. Unless it's exceptional or exceptionally bad, we're not going to really talk about it.
Let's go on to Khadira, Caller of the Small at 925, above Tolsimir and below Malcolm. 1 green-white for a 3/3 trample. Whenever she hits a player, you get X11 rabbits, where X is the number of tokens you control. So you kind of just double your tokens into rabbits.
Yeah, and this isn't too bad for power, but you do have to sneak through a 3/3. That's going to be tough. You have to set up first, and then after you set up, she builds a brand new board after that. The weakness of this card is obviously you need to already be set up. You need to have a lot of tokens already on the board, and then you need to connect with Khadira, and then
you have to take advantage of the fact that you made tokens.
Exactly. So you basically have to untap another go around to make sure that you get something. Very slow, but it can be powerful if you get it going.
Yeah, you need unblockable, you need connection, and then you need to untap with all the tokens you make. There's not any really lore for her, I don't think.
There's at least she makes rabbits.
Right, I got some coolness points for the rabbits because they're adorable.
Yeah, they're really, really cute, and she does make rabbits. I mean, at least it's specifically like a cool token, right?
Yeah. Who's next?
Well, it's Kaga, Shadow Archdruid, above Vazi, below Radiant. 2 black-green for a legendary creature, 1/4. Whenever she attacks, she gets Death Touch until end of turn. Mill 2 cards. Once each turn, you may play a land or a permanent spell from among cards put into your graveyard that were put there from your library this turn. So the whole goal of this is just to mill over yourself. You self-mill, and you play the best thing you milled for the turn. It's not very powerful. It does get you a decent amount of card advantage, but it doesn't attack that well. It will trade off because it has Death Touch, but that's not going to really change anything.
What caps the power at 3 for me is the whole once a turn thing.
It is once a turn, and it has to be put there from your library, so you can't even like sacrifice the permanent.
Yeah, no discards or anything. It's pretty awkward. I mean, you could do things. This is it kind of amounts to one of those commanders that says, hey, it's a 4 mana and it's 4 toughness, and you draw a card every turn. It's just one of the worst variations of that.
Yeah, one of the big problems is, like you said, it's got to be milled. So, like, we want to mill over ourselves, but after we mill it the first time, the next turn, we can't play with those cards. So we have to mill new cards. And it's like...
very demanding.
You have to mill every single turn to continually get something, and that's just not super interesting to me. It just seems too slow.
Yes, she took over as the first druid of her grove. A grove is like... I think it's some kind of community of druids, as far as I could tell. But she wanted to serve the shadow druids. I don't know who that is, but if you do, you can go, wow.
She is a shadow druid, right? Or she's a shadow archdruid.
I guess so. She took over a normal druid, but I guess wanted to serve the shadow druids.
They seem like the evil druids.
They don't sound good.
Yeah, shadow is usually evil, right?
Next is Mahari, Emporium Master at 876, above Tuya and below Anya. 1 black-red for a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, you make a treasure for each creature that died this turn. Very simple. Very okay. You can make a lot of creatures die if you want to sacrifice them or maybe wipe the board and then play this. There's a bunch of different stuff you could do. You're going to get some treasures.
Which of the arts were you a fan of for this one?
I liked the regular one better.
It just looks really good. It's like, this is a cat person, right? Leonin, I suppose, would be the better term for it.
Not in D&D, my friend.
What are they called?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay,
it's a cat demon.
Oh, it is a demon. But still Leonin probably. I don't know.
We don't know. But we do know that they are the master of the Wandering Emporium, and he owned his own restaurant, which I thought, good for you for being a confident business person. And a cat demon.
A cat demon owns an emporium and a restaurant. That's interesting.
Nice aspirations.
Is it? I don't know. It seems pretty low for a cat demon. It seems like owning restaurant, very bottom of the cat demon chain. Moving on, we have Glunch, the Bestower, above Kotose and below Dustin. 1 green white for an 0/5 jellyfish. Flying at the beginning of your end step, choose a player. They put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Choose a second player to draw a card. Then choose a third player to create 2 treasure tokens. If you're not playing some sort of team game, then I'm not in for this card at all. It's extremely weak. You're giving away way too much. Sure, you could take the card, but then you're giving away mana to another player, and you're giving away counters to another player. This card is really bad.
Yeah, it was interesting to me, the fine line between, when we rank something as 0 for power, it's basically like a virtual vanilla. This could be worse than that because it could actively make bad things happen to you. But I think we're just going to give it a 1 and wash our hands of it. This card is not good at all. You have to be playing group hug.
It has political value.
Right. If you're not talking constantly while playing this card, you're losing.
Yeah, exactly. If you just give away stuff and just stay silent, it won't do very much. It seems like very fun. Obviously, everyone at the table is going to love you because you're giving them all resources that they weren't going to have without you. Not me. I'm going to hate you because I don't like group hug.
Enjoy your second place.
Yes, enjoy your second place. Enough. Glunch is a weird-looking jellyfish person, but there's no lore for this weird-looking jellyfish person, so sadly, it reminds me of Flumph, which is named similarly.
Yes.
So I assume
that's a thing.
They're both jellyfish, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's some kind of D&D thing.
They must be the same race. Yeah, a Flumph and a Glunch.
Real Surreal Kingpin is up next. She's at 855 overall. She's above Thracus and below Jaya Ballard. 3 black-blue for a 2/5 Death Touch. Enters the battlefield, take the initiative. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. But if you've completed a dungeon, it also gets +5/+0 and gets First Strike and Menace.
Something super important about this card is that it gives you the initiative.
Finally.
I mean, we talked about a bunch of cards yesterday that wanted you to have the initiative but didn't give you it, and that is extremely weak. At least this gives it to you, but it's a 5 mana. It only is giving Death Touch on attacks to start. Now, when you finish a dungeon, don't get me wrong, the ability is actually going to be very strong.
Creature's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable. I mean, they have to double block it.
They have to block with 7 things to be able to destroy it?
They have to block with 7 things.
If your creature was a 1/1.
If your creature was a 1/1. So it's that is actually just absurd. There's no blocking these. You're going to have to double chump it.
Double chumps.
Once you get going. But it's going to be fun. Getting there is going to take time. I think you're going to play a bunch of unblockable creatures. I imagine you're playing the 1/1s for 1 that you're going to see in your ninjas deck usually.
Play some blue flicker for this too. Just I don't think you need to play any initiative cards in your entire deck except for this one. So just blink it 4 times, get the dungeon done, take the awesome final mode on it, and then just crash people.
Yeah, that seems completely fair, a good way to play this card. Crime Lord involved in the crisis that led to Baal's resurrection.
All of these Baal children, Baal spawn, which just sounds literally, could they have picked a weirder name than Baal spawn? So they're all fighting and dying and all this stuff, and Real Surreal was generically involved. I didn't abbreviate it. It just says involved.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for being involved in it. It's just kind of unique. The initiative is on a lot of these commanders. Giving it is one of the unique parts, but we kind of have these. There's a subset of blue-black legends that want you to attack,
evasion,
and give evasion. Yeah. They kind of just exist. It's just a thing that is out there. Up next, Council of the Four, above Renata and below a Togatog. 3 blue-white for an 0/8. Whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, you create a 2/2 night creature token. You're 100% going to get some stuff out of this. One of the things that's a downside is they don't necessarily have to draw during their turn. It's the most common time for them to draw their second card, but maybe they hold up an instant that lets them draw 2, and then you don't get anything off of that because it's not their turn. So it's a little bit weaker than it could be. I mean, I don't know that it would have got a point for power otherwise, but it definitely could be improved.
I don't think you're going to see too many cards off this, but you are going to get a bunch of knights.
For sure.
But I don't know how to really, how do you build around this card?
You mean you just
can't.
You can make a tokens deck sort of because it is just it's going to be a tokens commander.
You can try to take advantage of the knights, but this card is just very weird. It just doesn't really do anything or tell you to build a certain way and wants opponents to do things. Doesn't really punish them though.
Also, these are the knights in this set are non-vigilance knights. 2/2 knights usually have vigilance.
Yeah, in my head they're permanently vigilant, so now I'm gonna have to adjust.
Yeah, because these ones do not have vigilance. The art is really good.
The D&D art is really sweet.
It's just all 4 of them hanging out in a room, being "Hey, we're here." I believe Abdul works for them, right?
He did at one point. So they're the governing body of Baldur's Gate, appointed for life, so that's good for them. And I think Abdel gets on at some point after he's a hero. And then Duke Alder Ravengard, also on this list in the future, were members.
Okay, good to know.
Move on to Mazzy, True Sword Paladin, above Thalise, below Kaza at 791. 1 red, green, white for a 3/4. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it until the end of your next turn. You can cast it. Wants you to probably just aura up your own creatures. Gives you a little bonus. I don't know too many ways aside from like exactly Smoke Spirit's Aid that you can aura up your opponent's creatures.
Yeah, it's not something you really want to be doing. So obviously we're going to be putting auras on our own creatures because it's not like she goads when the auras are on the other creatures, so that's not going to be helpful.
But like, what are we doing? We're playing go wide auras? How auras want to be on the same thing and just annihilate someone. This is like, you want more +2/+0 triggers, so you have to put more. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it's a fine card, but it's really nothing special. It's one of the worst of these like aura commanders. We've seen them time and time again. It's kind of a go-to thing, but it's going to be fun. You're going to literally like make a ton of guys and then go Rancor, the one that...
Ethereal armor. Just like dinky little things. You kind of like...
Go across the board.
It's the go wide Voltron.
It is. It's gonna be a go wide / Voltron deck, so you're going to need ways to make lots of creatures while also having lots of auras. So we know what's going to be really good in this deck. All the things that say when you cast a aura or cast an enchantment, get a creature. Those are all going to be great in this deck.
Okay. So there's something to do, and I encourage everybody to do it. So she always dreamed of becoming a paladin. Apparently she succeeded because it's in her name. She began adventuring, but eventually was imprisoned as most of her group was killed. So just kind of brutal, like her husband died.
That's sad. At least Khalid didn't die this time.
No, it was Patrick.
Patrick?
I think his name was Patrick.
He was just married to a normal old dude named Patrick.
Some guy, yeah.
Fairly unique card, at least. It does want you to do something that most cards are not asking you to do. Go wide and play auras. Up next, we have Asterion the Decadent, above Felice, below Sisters of Stone Death at 768. 4 white-black for a 4/4 vampire. Death Touch, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, choose one. Target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn, or you gain life equal to the amount of life you gained this turn. All right, so we're doubling up life gain or life loss for our opponents, which means it's going to be like a wound reflection only at the end of our turn, or it's going to double whatever amount of life we gain. This is an expensive card for a 4/4 lifelink.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Its stats are bad, like really bad. It doesn't fly either. It's walking on the ground. It's like, I hope they don't block me.
I just feel like that's never... Your 6-drop as a 4/4 with no evasion is like never connecting. You're on block duty, but they just won't attack you.
Yeah, exactly.
With 1/1s anyway.
Exactly. This thing should have flying or something to make it a little bit better. So just get the 4 for power. I think doubling up can be potentially good. I mean, it does say if you can deal 20 damage to your opponent with this out, they will die.
What's actually scary about this, not the life gain. I think the only scary thing, and that makes me kind of feel like this thing's going to die a lot, maybe only twice because it's so expensive, is the life loss. If you make somebody lose half their life with some of the infinite number of spells that do that in Orzhov, you can just kill them.
Yeah, there's the one that literally says an opponent loses half their life.
And there's like Blood Tribute, and then there's the split card from Guilds of Ravnica or Ravnica Legion.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Where it
Revenge, I think.
Yeah, like they lose half the life, you double your life. So that's actually really powerful in this deck, obviously, because you could double your life, then double it again after that. Well, not
kind of like double it, then 50%.
You triple your life.
Yeah,
you triple your life is a much better way to put it. Give me some give me some lore, BZ.
All right, this dude, you kind of get the idea of what this person's doing. When I read seeks pleasure of any kind, I get it. I've seen Asterian's Thirst. I've seen that card. This is probably just some like bisexual vampires just running around making love to everybody.
Pansexual.
Maybe. We can also say that they walk in daylight. Do you want to know why?
Because of tadpole power.
Because they got a tadpole shoved in their eyeball.
Everyone's getting tadpole.
Yeah, this ship was packed. This has got to be like a gigantic ship.
I mean, it looks decently big, but it doesn't look like it holds all these people.
We're not even done.
There's so many tadpole power people just running around now, but I don't know. I guess D&D vampires can't walk around during the day.
Oh, but running water still burns them like acid.
Running water?
Yeah, running water.
Oh, okay. Why not just regular water?
That's like a vampire myth. They can't like cross a bridge over running water. It's not good for them.
That one I didn't know.
Did you know that Minthara, Merciless Soul, is number 760 above Korvath and below Gahiji?
Yes.
2 white-black for a 2/2. Ward X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you get an experience counter. Creatures you control get +1/+0 for each experience counter you have. The more you play her, the more times you proliferate, the harder she is to spot remove, and the bigger your creatures get. So you want to go wide.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to go wide, and you just want to be flickering stuff, using treasures, any way to make a permanent leave the battlefield. fetch lands. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Permanent leaving the battlefield is like, you don't even have to build around that. It's just going to happen.
It's trivial to do. I mean, you'll build around it a little bit because you do want to make sure it is happening every single time, but it is pretty trivial to do. This card is really bad when it first comes out, right? Oof. It's super slow. It does nothing, actually, and you have to get something going. But as you build up and the game gets going, if you can get 3, 4 experience counters...
That's a lot of power.
Now it's incredible. Now what the card is doing is like so much power. 3, just 3, which is not a lot to ask. You can get to 3. Is all of your team has +3/+0,
which quadruples 1/1's power.
Holy crap! You're really going to be able to get through with a lot of damage if you get going. This is obviously, like BZ said, go wide. We want some flicker strategy here. We need something to be leaving the battlefield on our side. But once we get going, she's hard to remove, and she puts a lot of power on the battlefield.
All right, so I figured out for lore, the Absolute, there was the Cult of the Absolute. The Absolute is, I think, some big, bad, like, Mind Flayer boss, because this person works for them, seeking the whereabouts of a group granted abilities aboard a Nautilus ship by the I think the Absolute is somehow responsible for giving all those people their tadpole powers. She's looking for them, and I don't know if she found them, but she did bring Alder Ravengard to Moonrise Towers, so she's got that going for her.
Does that mean something?
It actually comes up a little later with Alder Ravengard, but not really. She's looking for those tadpole people.
She's just looking for tadpole people. She's evil.
She should watch this video because they're all here.
Yeah, all the tadpole people are in this video. All right, next to someone who's not a tadpole person, it's OG, the Exquisite Blade. Above Plarg, below Jury at 757. 2 white-blue for a 2/3. Whenever OG enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life and you scry 2. Whenever you cast your second spell, exile up to 1 target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. What's nice about this is you get something immediately. You get 2 life, you get to scry 2, set up your draws for the next turn, and then you can just follow up this card with any spell. 0 mana, 1 mana, and then get a flicker to either do them again or any other card on the battlefield. So you can, if any ETB you have, now you cast your second spell, boom. Flicker, get value. This thing just profits from playing Magic.
Yeah, it's really going to be dominant. You got to take it out, or it's going to run away with things. I want to put like Urza's and Mishra's Bauble in this deck, so I can go like turn 7, tap out for like Diluvian Primordial, and then get the effect of it, and then go Mishra's Bauble and get the effect again.
Yeah, I mean, also you can do Gitaxian Probe. You're in the color for Gitaxian Probe.
There's a couple free spells you got.
Yeah, so you just want to, you want to just be able to do some big, giant, splashy effect. Do it again by casting another spell. This is going to be a very fun deck. One thing about this that it's not the most unique is what I want to mention is because
pretty paint by numbers.
Blue Flicker. I mean, I love caring about second spell. Right. Does give it a decent amount, and the fact that this pays off itself. Like it can be the thing getting flickered
in an emergency. Sure.
So that's something. And like Scry 2 is not nothing. We're setting up draws. We're going to make sure our draw for next turn is good, but mostly blue, white flicker. Where have I seen that before?
And we don't have much lore aside from they were a great chief of Black Raven tribe. Moving onward, Lozan, Dragon's Legacy at 736, above Rien, below Furia. 3 red-blue for a 4/2 flyer. Whenever you cast an adventure spell or dragon spell, this thing deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target that isn't a commander.
Funny that this card has to be worse because of the limited format. It's clearly they don't want this to always pick off all the other commanders on the battlefield.
That'd be lame.
Which is totally fair and reasonable, but it does make this card a fair bit worse.
Yeah, there's a lot of important creatures we can't hit every game.
I mean, I would say the creature that the decks are built around, you can't kill those with this, though you can just burn people out. This thing can do a lot of damage over the course of the game as it just keeps going. I'm probably building a dragon deck with this. I mean,
you're not going to get too many adventures.
There's I would say there's probably 5 or 6 good adventure spells you can play in Commander, and that's about it.
Yeah, you're stretching even on like Bone Crusher is a little
Yeah, I mean, there's Brazen Bower.
That one's acceptable.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a few others that are actually good, but it's not many. This is going to be your adventure dragon deck. It's going to be fun. You're going to have a lot of things to do with it. Stellar which one did you like for this one, BZ?
I liked both, I remember.
Okay, which one was?
They were both pretty great. The D&D one might be better.
The D&D one. So I need to know which one needs to be on screen. Help me here. Come on.
Yes. So there's no lore for Lozan, unfortunately, for them. So they're ranked low, and we can move on.
It's sad. It's sad not getting any lore.
You hate to see it.
We're moving on to Nalia D. Arnis. Above Rada, Heart of Keld, and below Slowbad at 631. 1 white-black for a 3/3. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast clerics, rogue, warriors, and wizard spells from the top of your library. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain death touch until end of turn. Oh, we mentioned before, party, super fun. Like, I think this is a really cool strategy. I love caring about, like, a set of creature types. I kind of hope that we get something akin to this in the future. I don't know what they will be. I mean, party is very specific. In the future, though, I would love to see this again because I think caring about multiple creature types, it takes the tribal aspect. It makes it really fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, for power, this is just middle of the road. I don't really have much to say about the power. It does its thing. You got to build around it.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to build around it. You want to have probably 30 of these types in your deck so you can constantly be casting stuff off the top of your library. You want to make sure you have party. Changelings are going to be absolutely great in this deck, obviously, because they can count for any member of your party that you have missing.
Yep. She was a noblewoman and mage who considered herself a champion of the poor who fought against her own privilege to, I guess, help people less fortunate than her. She's just kind of rich.
She sounds like Robin Hood, but rich Robin Hood.
She sounds like the people on Twitter who, like, don't actually help.
I'm helping, maybe.
I don't know. You retweeted something.
I mean, at least she's trying.
Yeah, she's doing something. She's probably a positive.
She's out on the streets. She's not on Twitter.
She's out on the streets.
So that's a little better. I mean, I would think.
It has to be. Furkang, Cunning Instigator, is at 585 above Galia and below Yeheni. 3 blue-red for a 3/3 flying haste. Whenever one or more dragons you control attack an opponent, go target creature that player controls. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, if that creature had to attack this combat, you put a +1/+1 counter on Furkrag, Cunning Instigator, and you draw a card. Tribal, you have to attack, then you goad things, then the goad things hit, then you draw a card, and Furkrag gets bigger.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get this going, it's going to be powerful, but I think there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, good luck with that. This is a little clunkier.
You need to force combat. You need to force your opponents to hit each other. Lots of goad. It does have haste, so it does come down immediately, gets in an attack, it immediately will goad whatever creature you want to goad.
You probably get a card off that.
Yeah, you could probably get a card off that. The good thing about like this design is people do not want to let it hit, so they're going to be trading off resources.
And it's not our resources they're trading off.
Yes, and if they're not trading off resources, we're getting card advantage, which is also going to be good, and our commander is going to be getting bigger. It's going to be a super fun deck. I think you're going to goad everything you can. You're going to play dragons and just try and get in. Although the original deck that this comes in, it doesn't have any dragons in it.
It's just Furkrag?
No, there's more dragons.
Is it more goad?
We talked about it in our pre-con video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's under 15 dragons for sure. It's like, what is this? No, give me more dragons.
Don't be like the pre-con. Furkrag wanted revenge against Gorion's child, who I think is like we mentioned this, like the playable character, like whoever you are, you're them. If you're playing the game or you're in the party. So the adventuring party could like choose to fight him after rescuing this child that he stole from Gorion's child. You could choose to fight him or like make bargains with him, and he like set a trap for you. If there's like a fork in the road, you choose one thing, then you like gotta fight him, or you choose the other thing and you like get trapped.
Okay,
it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, so Gorion's child is a playable character. Sure,
I think so.
Sure.
Well, no, I think your Gorion's a different Gorion's ward. Like you're the Abdel person. I think Abdel is you.
Oh.
But it's confusing.
Oh, very. Moving on to Nine Fingers Keen, above Hamza, below Shurikai at 502. 1 black, green, blue for a 4/4. Menace, ward, pay 9 life. Whenever 9 deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 9 cards of your library. You may put a gate from among them onto the battlefield. Then, if you control 9 or more gates, put the rest into your hand. Otherwise, put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order.
You shorten her name to 9?
Yeah, I did. I did shorten her name to 9.
I don't know if having 9 fingers gives everybody these abilities, and like if everybody just cut off one of their fingers, they would be way more powerful. But you get ward, pay 9 life, and you get to find gates and stuff.
Yeah, do normal people have ward, pay 10 life?
And look for a card in the top 10?
Yeah, and we have to control 10 gates.
Yeah. That's like, why is her whole personality around the fact that she has 9 fingers?
Why are all of her powers based around having 9 fingers? It's kind of strange, right?
I don't know, but they are the leader of the Guild, a criminal organization in Baldur's Gate. The Gates strategy, pretty okay in 5 colors. It's not the worst. But in 3 colors, it is way worse.
This is obviously really, really fun, but I don't understand why this isn't just a 5-color commander.
You get 11 gates.
It's frustrating to me, honestly. Like, why can't we have a 5-color gates commander? It's obviously we want 5 colors. We want to have as many gates as possible. But instead, we're stuck in 3 colors for no reason.
You lose half the gates, at least.
It makes me sad. It definitely makes me sad that this happens.
Yeah, it's at least super unique. So she's got that going. She's got 9 fingers. She's very unique.
I mean, she is the gate. We actually have a gates commander. I mean, we didn't have that before. As much as I wanted to have 2 more colors, at least we have a gates commander.
We did, but they banned it. Gorion, Wise Mentor. Here he is, 498. He's above Neheb and below Pelukrinos. Green, white, blue for a 3/4 vigilance. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, copy it and choose new targets.
Well, this would be very, very powerful if adventure spells were powerful, but unfortunately, they're not.
Talk to me in 5 years. So for now, he's just a little bit lower on the power, but high on fun, because adventure spells are fun.
Yeah, they're always 2-for-1 type effects. I mean, you get to play one side, which is a spell, and the other side, which is a spell. So you are getting 2 spells on 1 card, and doubling it up is going to be fairly powerful. We're just, like we said, we're lacking on what we actually get right now because we don't have that many adventure spells.
Yeah, keep an eye out for this one the next time they bring adventure back, because they probably will. He's a learned sage, a respected member of the Harpers. He fostered Abdel Adrian to fulfill Alondo's prophecy about the ball spawn. And I hope that someone just skipped right into that bit of this video and has no idea what I'm talking about.
I mean, it sounds nonsensical, but maybe it's cool.
I have at this point, looking all this stuff up, I got a handle on what's going on.
You do know what's going on?
Yes, Alondo we'll get to later.
Oh yeah, Orlando's the guy who likes to spend, sort of.
Yeah,
right?
So every name in here we actually know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Which art did you like?
Oh, I like just the original. I think the original was a little bit better. The D&D one's good too.
He's like training somebody. It's really cute.
Good for him.
It is cute. It's like a young mage or something. Like might even be Abdul as a kid. Up next we have Zavlor Altural Exile, above Lathril and below Heliod, God of the Sun, at 493. 1 blue, black, red for a 4/2 with haste. Pay 2 and tap it whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery that targets a single opponent or a single permanent an opponent controls this turn. For each other opponent, choose that player or a permanent they control, copy that spell, and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent.
Play a kill spell, copy it, value.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. It actually makes playing spot removal sort of worth it because you're not just getting 1-for-1 to your spot removal now. No, you're making all of your spot removal into Windgrace's Judgments, where you're getting 1 for each opponent, which is powering them up a ton. This comes out quick. It's 4 mana, so you can get it out early, and then you can start playing all of your kill spells. Just pay an extra 2, and you're going to kill 1 for each opponent rather than just 1 randomly.
Seems pretty fun. Your opponents probably aren't going to like this too much because they're not going to be able to stick a threat.
It's a spot removal. I mean, yeah, it's going to be this is the spot removal commander. Like
apparently for Grixis.
I would think, yeah, like literally Grixis spot removal. It's very unique in that it wants you to actually play the Doomblade-esque effects. Where
probably won't get there.
Infernal Grasp is more what I'm thinking.
Probably something along those lines, but that deals 6 to you.
That's true. Okay, Victim of Night. We'll get there. One of these have to be playable.
We'll steer clear of the murders, but we're playing some spot removal that's D's.
Yeah, definitely playing a lot of D's spot removal. And this is a proud leader of the Hell Riders of Yule. Altergard. Newfound bigotry led them to trek to Baldur's Gate. Bigotry.
People don't like tieflings, I guess.
Oh, they didn't. So they're bigots toward tieflings?
No, they are tieflings. Due to bigotry against them, they had to leave, and they're going to Baldur's Gate.
Oh, okay. I thought it was opposite. I thought they were bigots.
Whoever was in Elturel, that's because he's the exile from there.
Okay, so they just hate tieflings. Why? I think tieflings are, as far as I know, very much not a liked class, which is really sad.
Next, Duke Older Ravenguard. Here he is, 447 above Rondus, below Cody. 4 red, white for a 5/5. Beginning of combat on your turn. Target creature gains haste and myriad.
This card is super cool.
It's going to smack you.
It's going to smack you, and when it's not smacking you, it's going to be giving creatures with great ETBs this ability, so you can just send it to its death and get 2 more of whatever its awesome ETB is.
You start throwing in extra combats with this and making copies of more creatures. The myriad tokens won't survive, but I don't want to face down more triggers of this.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really in it for, I think ETBs are going to be like one of the strongest things with this, where you're just going to triple up your ETBs to get in for attacks. And then when you actually have the big attack, put it on a huge chunky creature. I mean, a Balefire Dragon going at every single one of your opponents is going to be no joke.
Yeah, you can throw like Molten Primordial in there if you want. You steal like everybody's stuff and then maybe find a way to sacrifice them.
That would make sure you have sacrifice outlets. Otherwise, you're just stealing it and doing nothing with it.
Yeah, but stealing 9 creatures is not bad.
Give us some lore. Give us some lore. How cool is Duke?
Duke is a disciplined officer. This is like the most generic military person ever. They judged others in their ability to take orders. Highly revered commander, eventually kidnapped and sent to those Moonrise Towers. Can you believe that?
Kidnapped and sent to the Moonrise Towers. And what happened there?
I don't know.
Oh, well, he definitely went there. Maybe
the Moonrise Towers isn't a legendary card, so I don't have to tell you.
I don't know what Moonrise Towers is. Duke was definitely kidnapped and sent there, though. I know that for sure. All right, next we got Mirim, Sentinel Worm. Above Sig, River Cutthroat, and below Vito at 407. 3 green, blue, red, 6/6 flying, Ward 2. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if that dragon is legendary. Expensive, slow, but once it gets going, it's going to be incredibly powerful. You're going to have 2 of any dragon you play from the time this enters to the time it leaves the battlefield. And on top of that, these dragons do not have to be cast. They can be flickered. They can be reanimated. Any sort of way that you can get these dragons onto the battlefield, you're going to get triggers to copy them.
Yep, this card is a little clunky, but I like that it has Ward 2, so it helps that maybe you can tap out for it and like maybe survive and then untap. And once you untap with this, you're going to be dominating, especially because you have blue to counter all the spells that would board wipe. It's just going to be really tough to get around this. I think the art was a little bit above average. Certainly, I just like the idea that this thing is a ghost dragon. So it's like a ghost guardian of Candlekeeps where they keep all the knowledge. This thing was killed defending it, so sad, but then resurrected. But something went wrong when they were resurrecting Mirim, and it kind of didn't get all the brain parts, so it was a little crazy, and then it started killing people, and they had to trap it. But it still guards everything.
So not sane?
Kind of sad.
It just guards stuff, but it's like not all there.
It was, though.
Oh,
sad.
That is definitely sad. I mean, all the coolness kind of comes with Ghost Dragon, right? That's where I'm getting from.
That is where it's coming from, and the uniqueness comes from copying your dragon spells. Moving on up, we got Raphael, Fiendish Savior, above Yusri and below Zixara at 397. 3 black-red for a 4/4 flyer. Other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, you get a 1/1 red devil that pings something for 1 when it dies.
This cares about a lot of cool creature types, and I find that super interesting, but ultimately, overall, it's not that powerful. Though, it is very easy to continually trigger this to get new things, which will keep gaining you life, because the devils that die, that will ping for 1, will have lifelink, so you'll gain 1 life every time. 1/1s are never going to stay on the battlefield against this thing. That's just not going to happen. Just constantly making little devils every turn. You're always going to just sack a devil, get a devil. I mean, that's what the deck's going to do. That's literally going to be the strategy. You can also go with the tribal theme of the 4 tribes that are here.
It's Dark Party.
Dark Party?
This is the Dark Party.
The Dark Party is tieflings, imps, devils and demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that does sound like an evil party.
Except for maybe tieflings, who I don't know if they just get hated on or if they actually suck.
They do. They look like devils.
But maybe they're just bad. I don't know what they mean. I don't know anything about tieflings.
Yeah, me neither. Tieflings are kind of a mystery to me. 10 for art.
This was maximum. That D&D art. Oh, man. Come on.
Chef's kiss.
Come on.
Literally chef's kiss. He looks so intimidating and badass on it. I love it. I love that art.
Yeah, as cool as this dude looks, he doesn't do anything. He's a devil that tries to offer an infernal contract to the Nautiloid ship tadpole people. He's just like, hey, you want to make a deal? And none of them said yes.
So is the Nautiloid ship tadpole people, is this a campaign? This makes me think it's a campaign and you're one of the tadpole people.
It's got to be. There's so much reference to it without me even seeing what it's called. Maybe let me know what the campaign's called if it is one.
It's probably Baldur's Gate.
Tadpole people.
It's probably called Baldur's Gate.
I don't think it is, because Baldur's Gate's about the ball spawn and Abdel's fighting Saravak, and then there's John Arenicus is becoming the ball slayer avatar, and then they all die.
Up next, Bane, Lord of Darkness. He was born in the darkness indeed. Above, Rigo, and below, Elandra. 1 white, blue, black for a 5/2 god, as long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total. He's indestructible. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you may put a creature card with equal or lesser toughness from your hand onto the battlefield. The thing I don't like about this card personally is that I feel like they're never going to let you draw a card.
It's pretty easy to just say hand every time, and especially if like a 4/4 is dying. How much crazy stuff are you going to put in?
And they're also going to just drop in their hand. Like they're going to run out of cards in their hand quicker.
Yeah, even if they have something every time, now they're empty-handed.
Exactly. They eventually just run out of cards in hand. I don't know. Maybe there's something you can do with this, but to me it looks very boring. Like when I look at it, I see, what is this card?
Yeah, I don't know. But Bane is part of the Dead 3 is the first one we've gotten to. They're like huge. They're super important. They're 3 dudes who basically just decided that they wanted to be gods, and they went to the current god of like all the bad stuff, and he was like, great, I was kind of getting sick of this anyway, and he gives them all powers. So he is the god of like tyranny and that sort of thing. He's alongside Baal and Merkel, which we'll get to. He stole the tablets of fate with Merkel and then caused the time of troubles, eventually slain on Toril when all the gods had to become mortal to look for those tablets, which he stole. So I don't know why he was looking for them.
Yeah,
I don't know who the gods are answering to that tells them to go do something. But
there's probably just
like, how much of this story do you really want? Because I could do this for hours. There's a lot.
Is there a lot more?
This isn't even close. This is a 3-sentence summary of this god.
He got a 9 for power at least, or power. No, he didn't get a 9 for power. He got a 9 for.
There's a lot there, yeah.
Yeah, bow up.
Like they all die, and then I think through different shenanigans, all 3 of them come back.
This just makes you think of the rap. I'm Bane. Yes, that's my name.
All right, we got Faldorn, Dreadwolf Herald at 389, above Iruth and below Dragonlord Ojitai. 1 red-green for a 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, you get a 2/2 wolf. 1 tap, discard a card, exile the top card of your library, and you can play it this turn.
Well, this thing's very powerful. You're just going to be casting spells from exile, build your deck to do this. You're getting paid off with 2/2 wolves, which can be your win con, because all you need is like a Creator of Behemoth effect, overrun the board, and you can just put the game away from there just by playing Magic.
It fuels itself.
It literally does fuel itself. You discard a card, you can also add in, madness strategies to this. This thing is just going to be a super fun card to build around. Obviously, there's tons of play from exile cards. This is something that they're doing more and more of every single set, so we're just going to keep getting more and more powerful, right? Like it's not getting weaker, that's for sure.
This card's only going to get better. I think the art was great. The lore, a little lacking, raised by Shadow Druids and took over. They were like Faldorn's in charge of the Shadow Druids. But then it basically just seemed like they just saw a Druid Grove with no leader and was like, all right, I'm doing that now. And just took over.
Is this related to the other person that we
I don't think it is. They weren't mentioned once.
I don't know. It's tough to keep up with all this story.
50 years of D&D lore.
Maybe we'll play the Baldur's Gate game.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'll
play the video game.
Yeah, that'll catch us up. We're getting a decent amount of these commanders, so this isn't the most unique. Playing from exile is becoming pretty common now. All right, let's go on to Nera, Wild Mage, above Chromat, below Lorchiel. 4 blue-red for a 2/7. Whenever you cast a spell, you may put it on the bottom of your library. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put all revealed cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. This ability triggers only once each turn. Why is she blowing bubbles in the art?
I don't know why she has 7 toughness. That seems like such a bottom-up design because they're like, well,
she's definitely a bottom.
It's got to be 6 mana. But this is like 1 possibility storm per turn. You can set it up to. I don't think you don't have to shuffle. So
you can do a lot of cool things like this where you cast like 1 mana spells to just go flipping. So you can also play some adventures are going to be really cool with this where you play like the cheap adventure side and you flip and you can flip into creatures on the other side. It's kind of interesting to do stuff like that.
That is interesting. I was just thinking this is going to be another Eldrazi commander.
It can easily be an Eldrazi commander.
Scry my deck, figure something out, put Kozilek on top, cast Ornithopter or something, and then just, here you go, draw 4 cards.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to share a type. Like, it's, with this, it just has, it's any, like, you cast something, you choose to do the ability, and then you flip it so you hit a non.
Oh, anything. So you can just, ponder into it.
Yeah, you can just, you literally can just, it can be anything into anything. It doesn't have to share types like Possibility Storm.
So we're going to hope that people aren't doing that and just give it a 10 for fun, because it seems like randomness that is not affecting anybody else, really. It just seems good to me.
We'll see, though, because I could see this being a miserable commander as well.
If this ends up just being another Kozilek deck, we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back, and we'll definitely change that. Why is she blowing bubbles, BZ?
She's a wild mage, and there's no answer to that question, but she founded a refuge that sheltered wild mages from an order of 8 staves. And she's upbeat, whimsical, and her mood is unpredictable.
There's so many orders and groups.
D&D's been around forever. We're like just catching up on, probably like 3 stories of D&D.
Like, what's the order of the 8 staves? I don't know what that is. What's the apostle thing?
We don't even have enough time in our lives to not catch up on any of this.
Yeah.
And keep up our YouTube channel.
And yeah, if you guys want no YouTube for the next year, we can catch up on D&D lore.
And we'll get you in the know of what the order of 8 staves is. Let's go to Captain Ingathrod. It is number 351 above Jeska and below Keranos. It was certainly called an it in the lore. 3 blue-black for a 3/6 horror. Horrors you control have menace. Whenever a horror you control deals combat damage to a player, they mill that many cards. And the actual text on it, at the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature card in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from your library this turn. Put it onto the battlefield under your control.
So this is a bunch of text that is whatever, and it wants you to be horrors, and it's totally fine. Like, it's not bad text. But then all of a sudden it has a bottom line that says, I don't care about any of the first stuff I just said. I'm just going to pay off any form of milling your opponent, and I'm going to get back huge, giant things from their graveyard. Thumbs up for this card. Literally, that bottom text just takes you from being medium horrors commander to good mill commander. Okay.
Yeah, actually pretty sweet mill. Makes me take out their best things, so I'm less worried about some of this graveyard recursion because I'm going to do it myself. As far as the lore, they were an elf who like had high standards of beauty, but they got tadpoled and they turned into a mind flayer space pirate, which is amazing. So then they ate some crew brains to survive, and the rest of the crew fled, so they're just sitting in their crashed ship waiting for food sources. And they kind of, in the lore, like once you get mind flared, I think you just kind of become an it, where you're like a brainless entity with only
You're not brainless.
You're like a shell of your former self. You really don't have any agency or anything.
You lose all your personality.
You lose like everything.
Your memories, your thoughts, anything that made you is gone, but it's still like the body's kind of similar. And
like a zombie is kind of just an it.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of, exactly. Like you're not really it. This is a really cool art. I mean, it looks like what is it? Davy Jones?
Ooh, it is Davy Jones.
It does look like Davy Jones from Pirates. All right, let's go on to Tasha, the Witch Queen, above Obosh, below Memnarch at 326. 3 blue-black for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, create a 3/3 black demon creature token. +1, draw a card. For each opponent, exile up to 1 target instant sorcery from that player's graveyard and put a page counter on it. -3, you may cast a spell from among cards in exile with page counters on them without paying its mana cost. And, as you might have guessed, Tasha can be your commander. This thing's weak. I really love the player stuff deck, but I want to say I think people don't like it, so I've been giving player stuff commanders a little less points as
for fun
because people just don't like playing against it. Even though I love playing commanders like this, similar to this, all the time. I understand people do not enjoy playing against it. Absolute 10 for art. Her alternate art is amazing. She looks very much like a stereotypical witch. Oh, it's just like, it is a chef's kiss. Give me that lore. Give me that sweet, sweet lore.
Yeah, so they picked good planeswalkers, I think, because all of the planeswalkers from the set got 10s for lore. There's like pages and pages and pages and pages and pages for all these people. But I wrote down some of the big picture stuff. Her name is actually Igwilv, and I think Tasha's a nickname. Igwilv is an amazing name. I don't know. You don't want to change that. She's an archmage and demonologist. Later in life, she attained godlike powers and became an archfey.
I mean, she also her laughter has power, right?
Basically becomes a god, and that's like, towards the end of his story, but she's doing so much stuff. So go check out the wiki if you want to know what else she's doing.
Apparently a lot. We are getting a decent amount of play opponent stuff commanders. Actually, I shouldn't say. We have some. This is the second one after what's her face? The vampire lady that when she enters
Jaleva?
No. Jaleva I kind of don't count because it does your own stuff. The other vampire, the covetous. Evelyn? Something like that? Evelyn the Covetous? Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Here's Alondo the Seer at 322 above Aura and below Kyrie. 2 blue-green for a 3/5. Tap, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand and put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. It gains, quote, when the last time counter is removed from this card, if it's exiled, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end of turn. Then remove a time counter from each card you own in exile. There was no elegant way to word this one.
I mean, the main thing you want to be doing here is tapping and untapping them over and over and over again to just keep going. It lets you essentially do a loot every single time, but the cards you're discarding are going into exile to eventually be cast when the last time counter is removed by Halandro.
Yeah, so you lose one on your upkeep and when you activate this?
No, you don't lose menu upkeep.
It doesn't actually gain suspend, so you still only lose 1 per turn.
Yes, you can unless you're untapping him.
Right, so you want to untap him.
You want to just keep untapping him to make things go a lot faster. So I mean,
Intruder Alarm is probably quite good in this deck.
Freed from the Wheel, also going to be very, very strong in this deck, where it's just like pay a blue, untap it, draw, put another thing. You're just going to have a pile of cards with counters on them if you're playing this deck right. And
all different numbers.
Your opponents are just going to see it coming, and they're going to be like, okay, we can't let that happen.
In 3 numbers, he's got, this thing. So it's tough because if he dies, your stuff's just trapped.
It is trapped, but it didn't lose you any cards, actually, really.
Right, you go even. So this card just seems good. He was a skilled prophet, one of the final followers of Savras the All-Seeing, so he just was like perfect rate on predictions here. His prophecies were kept safe in Candlekeep after his death, and apparently he had a lot of prophecies about the ball spawn.
I don't like that name.
I really like it less and less each time.
Yeah, ball. All right, next we have the Baba Lysaga Night Witch above Temet and below Gishath at 312. 1 black-green for a 3/3 tap. Sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrifice permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards. Well, I want things that have tons and tons of types. Actually, you can just, if you activate, what's the land? Mishra's Factory. It's a land, it's an artifact, and it's a creature.
That's pretty sweet.
You only have to sacrifice Mishra's Factory to get this full effect.
So that would work for Inkmoth and Blinkmoth, too.
Yes, it would work for Inkmoth, it would work for Blinkmoth, because they will all be land, creature, and artifact.
Yeah, late game, that's pretty sweet. I kind of want to untap this. There's a few ways to try that. In black-green, you're not going to have to deal with the garbage like Freed from the Real and Intruder Alarm, so you're not going to get hated out just by people seeing those cards. It seems pretty sweet, actually. You got to respect it, but it's not like infringing on your opponents too much.
No, I want things that just have multiple types. Like, that's my goal here.
Artifact creatures, enchantment creatures. There you go.
Artifact enchantment creatures.
Yep.
I don't think we have any of those.
No, not really. But
maybe, what might actually be decent in this deck? Something like Liquid Metal Torque will always be able to give something an extra type. So that might actually be very strong in this deck where it's, we don't usually advise playing
those cards.
To play Artifact Ramp in your green decks, but I'll advise playing Artifact Ramp in your green deck when it has some awesome over-the-top synergy like this. It's literally always saving you a card.
That's pretty sweet. I mean, Baba Lysaga looks like a lot of fun. She made a pact with Mother Night, which is a character, was a midwife for Strahd's king and queen parents, and has a traveling hut in the swamp. None of this at all seemed to relate to anything in Baldur's Gate. So this kind of just seems like a random inclusion to me. The
Baba Lysaga. It sounds like the Baba Yaga, who's a different character.
Yes, I checked. Different character.
Obviously, the Baba Yaga and the Baba Lysaga, they're probably married. They sound married, right?
You got to know the Baba Yaga and the Baba Lysaga saga.
Yep. Let's move on that note because I can't think of a way to top that. And who is it, BZ?
It's Commander Liara Porter. Above Zur, below Urabrask the Hidden at 304. 3 red-white for a 5/3. Whenever you attack, spells you cast from exile this turn cost X less to cast, where X is the number of players being attacked. Exile the top X cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards. Throw dispensable, myriad, whatever tokens at people. Get 3 cards exiled. They cost 3 less. If they're colorless cards, which I would put a lot of in this deck, you just cast them basically with no problem.
Yeah, I think this character is super powerful. It's got a 6. I know that sometimes I'm saying cards are powerful and you're seeing a 6. 6 is powerful. Mm-hmm. These are good commanders. These are commanders that I would actively like to play.
6s are threats. You got to take this thing. That's got immediate impact.
It does. Yeah, exactly. So it gives you a ton of card advantage. You're going to be playing exiled cards. I like this card a lot, honestly. Myriad creatures, obviously very, very good. Just any myriad creature is going to draw or exile 3 cards, and they're all going to cost 3 less, which is going to be amazing in this deck.
And all your artifact ramp will help you play Commander Liara when she dies.
Yes, exactly.
And it costs less to cast when you're getting it right away there's just no way to stop this. It's great.
Yeah, a super strong commander overall. Give me which art? D&D, non-D&D?
I like the non-D&D.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these arts are amazing. I mean, I also like the non-D&D, and most of the D&D ones, it's but some of them are give me that. The Raphael from earlier, now that's a chef's kiss.
All right, here we go. We're going to tie up a loose end. She was a dedicated leader, took lead of the Flaming Fist when Grand Duke Ravengard was trapped. So there you go. So when he went to those Moonrise Towers, she was there. She's actually really cool.
So her and Raven Duke, who are both red-white.
Raven Duke? Is that what you got?
Grand Duke Ravengard. Whatever, Raven Duke. They're both red-white commanders, right?
Oh, wait. Actually, Grand Duke Ravengard is different from Alder guy because Alder Guard. Grant is Duke, so that's a different person. So this guy was a different person, also trapped, not in the Moonrise Towers. My deepest apologies.
See, you're messing up everything. We're moving on to another one of the Planeswalkers. It's Elminster above Padim, below Inala at 283. 3 white, blue for a 5 loyalty Elminster Planeswalker. Whenever you scry, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this way. +2, draw a card, then scry 2. -3, exile the top card of your library, create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to that card's mana value. First thing I want to say is Scryfall, fix your site. You have a typo. There is no A. It just says create number. No, it does not create a number. Get out of here, you poop heads.
This card is so weak, I really don't want to talk about it. It's just like you're never going to get it to survive. You could do the Scry deck, and it's probably a lot of fun. Just saying this card is not strong, which does not reflect actual Elminster in the D&D lore, who is one of the most famous and powerful wizards of all time. And we know there's a bajillion D&D characters to choose from. So that's pretty high praise. There's probably a small short story of infinite lore on this person. So I'm just going to give him a 10 and concede that I don't know it all, and there's a lot.
I mean, right. This is the Gandalf.
It's like
of D&D.
The Urza or the Gandalf. Like, this is like the dude. This
is the wizard, the powerful mage, everybody knows this character, right? If you play D&D, I assume you know Elminster. It's a Scry deck. It is pretty unique, and I love the alternate art for this.
You know what I love?
What?
Moxville.com, baby. It's the best way to build a deck online, and you did not see this coming. Don't even pretend like you did. If you want to go organize decks and just kind of build decks twice as fast as you could on any other deck site, not specific numbers, but that's just my experience. Go to Moxfield because we're sponsored by them, and we want to plug their stuff because it's just great, and we use it all the time, regardless of whether we're sponsored or not.
I literally remember back when you used to use one of the other deck building websites, and it was awful.
Let's call it XYZ.
It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible, and I would never build decks online. I wouldn't. And then somebody introduced me to Moxfield. It's like, oh, now all my decks are online, and that's the only way I brew decks now.
Super easy. Give it a try. Please.
It's literally so simple. So easy.
Next, Raga Draga, Gorgut's Boss, above Lae'zel, and below Nylea Keen-Eyed at 279. 2 red-green for a 4/4. Each creature you control with a mana ability gets +2/+2. Whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, untap it. And whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature gets +7/+7 and gains trample until end of turn.
Well, good luck not making this a super powerful deck. You're just going to have infinity mana dorks. They're all going to be pumped. They're all going to be untapping when they attack, so you can just get in free attacks with them all the time. Whenever the board says, hey, this mana dork can get through, free attack every single time. And then, because you're playing so many mana dorks, you're just going to be able to go, okay, guess what? I will cast big giant spells
over and over.
And guess what? It doesn't even matter. I can pump my mana dork. My mana dork will be a 10/10. A 10/10 from casting one giant spell.
Pretty sweet.
That is over the top ridiculous.
Yeah, this card's really strong. I also think another strategy you could do is go super wide and then play like Crypto with Rights or the Druids that are from the old set that give your creatures a mana ability, and you just played +2/+2 on your whole team.
That's true, yeah. All your creatures will get pumped from that. Like you said, it lets you attack with them, and then it untaps them. So these are free attacks because you get to use the mana ability after combat. It's not hard to cast big spells in this deck. What is this? What is Raga Draga?
There wasn't much. They're a werebore, which is apparently a thing, and they are an infernal warlord, which kind of was communicated with the card.
Really, really weird to me, the anything else. Werewolf is like a lore thing, and everyone knows. But a werebear, it's like, are you bitten by another... like a boar? It's like,
yeah, werebore.
I was bitten by a werebore. Now I'm a werebore. And when do werebores transform? Because it's the moon for werewolves.
Yeah, what is the criteria for transformation?
Is it when they're around a certain amount of hay or something?
Maybe.
That would make a lot of sense. All right, time for the second of the Dead 3, as they're called. This one is Baal, Lord of Murder, which is a badass name, above Patron of the Moon, below Thassa Deep Dwelling at 273. 2 black, red, green for legendary creature God. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, Baal is indestructible. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and goad it.
Build your board, sack a bunch of things, and then now you've got a bajillion power cultivated on someone else's board coming at somebody else.
Yeah, I want to play Undying. I want to play Persist creatures because you can't play tokens, so you need to have real creatures on the board. I want things that have multiple lives. I want them to come back from the graveyard so I can sack them again and I can actually goad everything. I think you're clean from not being attacked by most things. Like anything that you think might actually attack you, goad it right away. There's also a little combo with this card where if you have 2 persist creatures, you can sacrifice one, it goes to the graveyard, put a counter on the other one, sacrifice that one, put a counter on the other one, which negates the -1 counter, and just infinite death triggers over and over again, and ETBs for whatever ETB. So like Murderous Redcap, which fits in this color combination, and any other persist creature with a sack outlet, and Bow, which is a lot of cards, but it is an infinite combo.
Yes. Also, the other one, you like Woodfall Primus. You could at least play those 2. You're probably playing those. Like, those are fringe cards, but I think this is enough of an excuse to play them. So Ball's going to dominate the board. Amazing art, just amazing lore as usual. He's part of the Dead 3. Unlike the others, I think he foresaw his death on Toril when he was going to be forced to be immortal. Ensured he had many children to revive him, and I don't really want to look into what ensured means. This seems like I don't like this character. After they were all dead, his children, he was revived as essentially just immortal again.
So now he's back and he's just a mortal guy?
It just seems like the Dead 3 are all back and kind of just doing nothing.
Okay, fair enough. This is really good art. Ball is, I don't know what Ball's doing, but I'm scared.
He's got like 3.
He's the Lord of Murder.
He's got like 3 different forms. These like 3 different avatars.
Like literally, like imagine that is like a scary name. Like, what are you the Lord of? Murder.
Next, we got an awesome character. It's Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter, above Jaheira, and below Grist the Hunger Tide at 258. Red, white, black for a 3/3 haste. Tap, sacrifice an artifact creature, create 2 treasures. Tap, sacrifice a non-creature artifact, create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. Jan Jansen does not mess around. Jan Jansen is making tokens 2 every single turn. It fuels itself, so if you have nothing else and you just get 1 activation, he fuels himself for the rest of the game.
This has combos for sure. Like, looking at it, it's like, I can't foresee this card not having a ton of random little combos.
It's really cool and really strong.
It's going to be, I'm thinking Staff of Domination.
Ashnod's Altar type stuff.
Ashnod's, or, Krark-Clan Ironworks, because we're an artifact deck.
Sure.
That's what I'm thinking, like, immediately. Like, that's the first, like, I don't know how good that is or how strong it actually is going to be, but it definitely can combo. It's going to be really fun. We're going to be turning our treasures into little people.
Bunch of incremental advantage.
And all of our little people into treasures.
They love it. They can't wait to be turned into treasures. Jan Jansen, this is what it described him as, and I'm just going to leave it at this because it's amazing. Inventor, illusionist, turnip salesman, weapons manufacturer, disreputable businessman, and adventurer. Also, he just tells wild stories constantly, seemingly for no reason.
Oh, I would hate
Amazing.
I would hate him in real life.
Amazing.
I really do not enjoy the I have a story for everything.
Don't worry,
person.
I have a story, and not only is it better than your story, it's better than the last time I told it.
Yes, I really do not enjoy those stories. No offense to anybody who is telling those kind of stories, but I don't want to hear your story. Up next is Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes, the last of the Planeswalkers, above Gyrus, below Aloro at 231. 2 green red for a 3 loyalty Minsk Planeswalker. When Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes enters the battlefield, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you create Boo, a legendary 1/1 red hamster creature token with trample and haste. Plus, put 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature with trample or haste. -2, sacrifice a creature. When you do, Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes deals X damage to any target where X is that creature's power. If the sacrifice creature was a hamster, the only hamster in Magic is Boo, but we can do changelings, draw X cards.
At least it protects itself.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a 4/4. I mean, it comes out, it makes a 4/4. If this was any format that wasn't Commander, I'd say it coming down and making a Boo right away would be detrimental because it would get bolted. It would actually be really big downside in this card. But obviously we're in Commander. There's not a lot of bolts running around. There's some, and it'll be really funny when this does get bolted. But
yeah, it'll probably happen in Limited. But this is a fun card. It's not the best card, obviously. You want to? I think the flavor of it is like he's sending Boo out, not necessarily like cutting his head off and sacrificing him, but then Boo comes back. It's like the same hamster. There's only one Boo.
There is only one Boo, unless he is just.
I didn't see that anywhere on the lore. The lore, we already kind of went over this last time because these are repeat characters, but he's kind-hearted, kind of not the smartest. Always talked to his hamster. I thought it was a space hamster.
It is.
It is, according to him. He stated his favorite enemy as evil, which is great. And a quote from him that I really enjoyed was, "Where goes the stench of evil, so too goes the cleansing wind of Minsk and Boo."
Yes, but also, hamsters are actually from space, but nobody believes him.
Yes. I think is he right?
Yes, I believe in D&D lore, hamsters are from space.
Might as well be.
It's just super silly, super great. Obviously a 10. 10 for art. I love the one where Boo's just like,
go.
He's like doing like, he's like, wah! I'm coming for you.
He's ready.
He's literally, I imagine like that's the noise it makes, right? Like very, remember the naked mole rat from Kim Possible?
No.
Well, it probably talks like that.
All right, we got the second best commander in the set. It's John Arenicus, Shattered One. Above Yorn, God of Winter, and below Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale, at 134.
That's right. John is above Jorn.
2 blue-black for a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent gains control of up to 1 target creature you control, put 2+1/+1 counters on it, and tap it. It's goaded for the rest of the game and has this creature can't be sacrificed. Whenever a creature you own but don't control attacks, you draw a card. Give away your dumb creatures. It almost doesn't even matter what they do. They get a little bit bigger. They're forced to attack forever, and you draw a card every time they attack.
Weird card. Really, really strange. And I think where it lacks in power is you have to constantly be giving away stuff in order to get anything. Is it bad? No, but it's not the most powerful.
It's just good. It just seems like a good card. Obviously, this is maximum fun. I've played this in draft. Deck was amazing. It was so much fun.
I just want to give away all these stupid things. Like, here, take this dumb thing that I didn't want anyway.
Now my opponents can try to deal with it because it's not coming after me.
Obviously.
Until I'm the only other one. So John is like a big bad guy. He opposed the ball spawn pretty frequently. Made an attempt at becoming an elven deity. Eventually became Baal's avatar. Everyone in the battle dies. And then they're transported to the Baal's realm. I don't even know what that is. And then they defeat John post-death.
That's a lot. This is a very unique card, though, in that it gives away your cards. The only other card I can think of this is like Beantown Bullies.
Right, yeah, this is a really sweet effect.
Yeah, it's super unique. All right, last but certainly not least is Merkel, Lord of Bones, above Niv Mizzet Reborn and below Volo. 4 white, black, green for a 7/5 legendary creature god. It's got the same text as the other two, where if your life total is less than or equal to your starting life total, it's indestructible. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment and loses all other card types. Well, okay then. This is going to make enchantment versions. We want ETBs. We want static abilities. I mean, this is great with mana dorks, obviously. We just mana dork this out, and then our mana dorks just become enchantments that tap for mana.
Enchantments are sticky. It's going to be tough to destroy some of them and not all of them. Merkel, I think, is a little slow, obviously, 7 mana.
So slow.
But once you have a full board, you just play Merkel and just sack everything, and now they have to deal with it. It's going to be way harder.
Also, on top of that, Merkel is so weird. Like, this is a unique card in that its graveyard matters for Abzan, where it loses points and weakness. But everything else on this card is like, what is going on? It turns creatures into enchantments, but they're also token copies. They're not the actual card. It goes infinite with the card that goes infinite with everything. Devoted Druid. Whoever could have seen that one coming, really?
But Devoted Druid is one of the most breakable Magic cards.
It goes infinite with a ham sandwich.
It really does.
It seems super fun. I mean, honestly, it seems like you can build this in a bunch of different ways. Like, there's so many different ETBs. There's so many different static abilities
you could play some enchantment payoffs. I'm sure you could play the thing from Kamigawa that copies triggered abilities of enchantments.
How annoyed are people going to be when you play Gaddock, then sack Gaddock and get Gaddock the enchantment?
Be even harder to kill Gaddock. This is the last member of the Dead 3. He was slain in the Time of Troubles. I think notably he did die last of the 3, but doesn't matter because his energy entered a crown which manipulated mortals over some indeterminate amount of time, which I think was a long time, and he was eventually revived as a quasi-deity.
I mean, there's a lot of deities.
People don't die. Being a deity also seems not that special.
It feels like it's very similar to that of a comic book. It reminds me.
Man, Superman, how many times has he died?
How many? Characters don't die, and when they do die, they come back, right?
And there's 7 layers of Spirit Realm that it seems like you can come back from all of them in D&D. I don't really know.
Yeah, you don't really die in D&D. I mean, if you're what is it? Your DM told you your character died. Tell them no. I'm in one of the 17 spirit realms.
I'm a tier 7 ghost.
I'm a tier 7 ghost. So yesterday we did all of the legends with background, which you can go watch that video. It's right on the screen here. So just click it, and also find us at Command Fest Philly, baby. We're special guests. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.